television, but it's very key that we do know that Delta State is more like a beehive of activities, especially 2 days running, and of course today is the last day. It's been media, and the need for them to do it right, the need for them to balance their reportage, and the need for them to also be educated. It's very key because right here in the studios, I am not alone. Joining us in the studios are professors. Yes, great professors are that. But we have Professor Prof. Akinfeleye right here in the studio. Pleasure to have you join us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Of course, we'll have Professor Godwin Oboh. Very nice to have you join us. And to my immediate left, of course, is Dr. Emmanuel Biri. Pleasure to have you join us. All right, it's been the second edition of Delta State Strategic Communication Workshop, and of course, big team it is that covers on the media and of course challenges and other aspects for them to be up and doing as it relates to the media. Government is very key. Government is actually a gatekeeping function. So whatever we do, we'll try as much as possible to ensure that the going concern of government is paramount in whatever reportage we are into. Well then, we want to feel their pulse this morning. I'm not alone, I'm with my colleague Francis.
Thank you very much, Jules. Thank you very much. These are senior colleagues when it comes to the area of mass media. You're very much welcome, sir. You're very much welcome to the program. Let me feel the pulse of the professors here. Professor Ralph, good morning again to you. Good morning to you. I just want to...
You didn't add any bit to that. I thought you were going to add more to that on the CV. You actually have a doctorate of a professor of mass communication.
HOD of Mass Communication, the former HOD of Mass Communication of the Department of University of Lagos. He's the chief trainer at the ongoing Delta State Strategic Communication Workshop organized by the Executive Assistant to the Governor on Communication. Talk about Dr. Fred Latimo Okanesiwe.
Very apt.
Very apt. Welcome, sir. It's a privilege to have you. And then also is Professor Godwin Oboh, HOD Mass Communication Department, Benson, Dahosa University.
Yes, thank you very much.
Very much welcome. And then Dr. Emmanuel Biri, he is the Associate Professor, Mass Communication, Delta State University, Mass Communication Journalism, precisely.
Actually.
Abraka. People like to just call it Abraka. You're very much welcome. Abraka. We're not monetizing. You're very much welcome to the program.
It's
a pleasure to have you. All right, now there are loads of questions for the professors right here in the building. Let's talk about the training itself. What has been the mood of the participants in the ongoing communication workshop? Let's start from Professor Ralph.
Well, from my own personal experience, I can tell the delegates that the participants are very aggressive.
Aggressive?
Yes, and they are also very serious about this training. Once you enter the hall, you can feel the vibration of seriousness on this participant, and it's a credit to the organizer, chief organizer, Dr. Fred Latimo. He started the first one last year, and today, this time, second one, and I hope the third will get improvement. Again, we want to thank the government also. It's one thing for somebody to have the idea, and the government will not agree. But this Delta State government, they have tried to do this second edition. And if you recall, also the chief of staff was there, and he made a significant contribution, i.e. the need for Delta State to have a communication policy. And if you're able to do that, the Delta's name will go into the book of records, because we started the one for national broadcasting and national communication policy. We did it, we have done a review of it, and then if Delta is going to domesticate and have a state, it's kudos.
All right.
Well, I'm going to fill you much later on the blueprint to that, because having communication policy right here in Delta State it's a very good one. It's a good start, and you've been there. You're experienced as relates to policies like that. I'll fill your pause on it later, but I want to feel that of Dr. Biri as it relates to fake news. Fake news on social media, fake news everywhere. What is fake news, and how will you actually address that, really?
Fake news is a story that emanates from the writer's figment of imagination.
Okay.
Stories that are not based on facts. Fake news are usually created to discredit, to deceive, to misinform, to disinform. And when it concerns politics, it's kind of pernicious propaganda.
Okay.
But the terrible thing about fake news is that who generates fake news? Even people who cry about fake news, they generate the fake news sometimes. What is happening in the US, for instance? Elections were still ongoing, and Donald Trump declared himself a president. That's fake news. Donald Trump says that he won the election, and the election was so he won the election on pages of newspaper and the Twitter, social media. But he has been losing in the law court. So that's fake news.
Okay.
So fake news is not limited to just following the social media users, but when people are disadvantaged in one place and they want to claim public support, they engage in manipulation of information, and it's actually very terrible. What should apply is that there are laws, not new laws. There are laws on defamation, several laws that are conventional and have universal applicability. They could apply.
Okay. Well, so we're actually looking at what we can actually do to reduce that, to reduce fake news.
If you look at it, I cite America as an example. There is no Ministry of Information in America. Okay, right? I think the Second Amendment says that Congress shall make no law to abridge freedom of information, of association, of this, of that. So you don't actually abridge people's freedom of information. But if the person contradicts the conventional laws, then it applies.
Okay.
But you see, we still need retraining, because the magnification of fake news is as a result of unprofessionalism that is keyed into the emergence and adoption of the social media.
Basically, what we're doing now, the workshop, is a way of actually reducing them.
Exactly.
Because you're educating participants.
Professional orientation.
All right, Francis.
All right, I'll just move on from that. Though I know that fake news can be proponent to cause crisis in society, total crisis. We saw a little of that manifest during the EndSARS protest. Some things that happened, and some things that happened were overhyped. Now let's talk about crisis, Professor Oboh. What should government, spokesmen, and media aides do during moments of crisis?
I think it's very obvious, it's certain. But one thing I notice with the Nigerian government is sometimes we overreact. In every human environment, you can't rule out crisis. Or we try to manage, like I said, mentioned yesterday during the workshop, I say crisis begins at the ideation stage of crisis. We call it trend. It's beginning, everybody is saying it, but nobody is doing anything about it. At another point, it becomes an issue that everybody is discussing. The government at that point will not claim ignorance, it's not aware about it. So when issue is not addressed, affecting the people, it can culminate in crisis. And when that crisis occurs, it's something that the government should try and manage. And it's very simple. Like as I mentioned yesterday, you don't address crisis at the scene of the crisis.
That's true.
You look for the sick that are producing the fire in crisis. That is factional leaders, the factional leaders in crisis. You contact them like the EndSARS protest. It could have been avoided. Simply, the citizens were not, they didn't start destroying things initially. They were just, requesting that government should end, the abuse of SACs. And simple thing, it's the citizens that elected the president. And what the president could have done was to address the citizens. What stopped the president from coming to Lagos? If he had spoken to the citizen, appealed to them, and let them know that their concern is the collective concern of everybody, that they are not acting unreasonably. Probably what we saw in the end, at the end of the whole incident, wouldn't have occurred.
Okay, my friend is saying that the president did not speak. Yes. But if you recall that the president spoke through the Inspector General of Police, that was not strong enough for them to say that.
Strong enough. Just last night, just yesterday, the president described the reportage of CNN and BBC as regards the NSAS protest as disgusting. He said it was biased and did not focus on what happened to the law enforcement agents in Nigeria who lost their lives. Rather, it focused more on sensationalism. He described it as disgusting. We're still talking about the media right now.
Yes.
Would you fault the reportage of CNN and BBC as regards this NSAS protest?
I will explain it with this illustration. When members of parliament, they go to the house, they are there to make laws. If a teacher goes to school, he goes there to teach. If a farmer goes to farm, he goes there to either plant or harvest. So journalists, according to Harold Laxwell model of 1948, have three basic functions: surveillance of the environment, educating the citizens, and providing entertainment where necessary. So it was the duty of journalists to report the details of what happened on the 20th of October. It's in line with that. But you know, like as I mentioned during one of my sections, I said the government is always excited, thinking that it's possible for media to be silent over an incident. But it's absolutely impossible for the media to be silent, because as members of the fourth estate of the realm, it is incumbent on them to hold the government accountable to the people. Which is better for us to know that some persons have been killed, or the media kept silent over that and more persons are killed? Is that what the government
News, we know it's factual information.
what the government would have expected?
On the CNN, you will understand that government is saying that they didn't take the government side, they didn't talk to them. And we are expected CNN to reflect that indeed we talked to you, you didn't respond, or we didn't make attempt. Because as my brother said, there's need for balance and objectivity in journalism. And also, again, yesterday at the conference or the day before, we were talking about UPs, the Papa Muslim Association. You don't expect CNN to support Nigeria wholesale. But there's a need for objectivity, fairness, and the senior correspondents should have asked or take the liberty to ask. And if they don't, government is not responding, then you tell us that we did our attempt, but you didn't respond. So we have to go with that.
You say that on the report.
Let's actually rest it at that and actually focus on, while we're here, basically, that's just on a lighter mood. And we're looking at, the communication policy that was, projected by the Chief of Staff. Now, I know it's very important and key, because when you addressed, he made mention of, it's very vital for us to refer to a source, for information, not having an individual, relay the same thing differently. Now, it's good to do reference to a particular source. Now, my question is, you've been there, you really know more about communication policies. Now, if you were to actually provide or advise on the blueprint, what will it be, and what will Delta State focus on as it relates to communication policy?
But the first thing they should focus is on one, truth. The second thing is content pluralism, diversities of ideas. Don't say because governor that is saying that, well, let's hear the other side of the story. Don't say because a political party says this one, therefore it's credible, the other political party should not. So there's a need for diversities of ideas, and don't monopolize the landscape. The atmosphere is large enough for all birds to fly without any collision with one another. So also is large enough for all fish to swim without collision with one another. It's only the wicked fish or wicked bird that obstructs the other one. If you do that in Delta State, it will cause crisis to emerge. So there's a need for content pluralism.
Okay. Dr. Biri, how are we doing? Today is the final day of the workshop. We heard everything that Professor Rao described it as aggressive departments, aggressive, was it strength? Positively aggressive.
It's because I'm one. So I was adopted
What's your overall?
I'm professionally aggressive. Because during the case study, you can see the reaction of who should go to mass, who should not go to mass.
Yes, I'm actually coming to that. So that you say something.
Dr. Biri, what's your overall assessment? Your overall assessment on the brainstorming precisely so far?
Well, through one man's sin came to the world, and through one man's salvation came to the world. Ideas of good things usually come through one person, and it sells the ideas to other persons, and when the idea is bought, things flow. In the first place, I want to commend the facilitator of the program, a person of Dr. Barrister Fred Latimore, for having this ingenious idea, and for the governor for approving it for him, for the SSG and other persons, and for having the, what I can call, foresight and sagacity of inviting doyen of journalism in Nigeria, Professor Fred Akinfeleye, Professor Akinfeleye, whom I read his book when I was doing my OND far back 1987.
Wow.
So
You're reading him live.
privilege to sit by his side like this. Somebody had told me 1987 I was going to sit with him like this, I would have doubted. So to your question,
Yes.
I think it's been wonderful. It's been inclusive. Professionals have been participating. It's reawakening to a large extent some sleeping giants within professionals, providing new insights and brightening and broadening the horizon for persons who are into journalism but have not gone through the professional kitchen, who have not been cooked properly in journalism. I think they would have been cooked. My assessment, so to say, I can't assess myself, but the ship trainer and others
And participants as well.
they've been wonderful, and the participants have been extremely wonderful. Normally you go to some workshops, conferences or seminars, see people playing with their phones instead of listening to what is happening. They've been attentive, they have been participating, and they've shown focus, let me put it that way, zeal to learn. So it's been a wonderful thing. And talking about the logistics, it's been wonderful. Beautiful hall, beautiful tea, beautiful food, and beautiful hotels, and beautiful hospitality.
Wonderful.
I think I feel like for a very long time that I'm participating in a conference in Nigeria, that I feel like I am abroad. And we spoke yesterday that this is abroad that we go to occasionally, that we are seeing here.
Okay.
So it's commendable.
Yes, you know.
And the thanks should also go to the chief organizer, Fred Latimore. He's not only a go-getter, but sometimes he runs as the editor-in-chief, editor general, as commander-in-chief general.
It's of everything.
Thank you. And chief facilitator.
It's of everything. And he tells you if you're going out, you don't go out.
That's right.
And at the door, if you go out, you don't come in.
He's a gatekeeper.
Yes. It's of everything.
Commander-in-chief of the
And when you're going out on turn, you're asking questions that is not relevant. It comes to you and say, you don't have to ask that.
He's the headmaster.
That's how it should be. You know, journalists at times we get overboard with some questions that are not relevant to the main situation. Now, one that resonates with me again is the one of the spaceship.
Okay.
Okay, that one was really mind-blowing because you can't ask anyone. You ask and the person tells you, I think it's this. And the other said, I think it's this. No. I'm sure it's this. So it was really, really brainstorming. I mean, we had to. It's one thing for you to be a journalist. It's one thing for you to make quick decision at a go and not being driven by sentiment. Francis, you're not there. You're actually missing.
I was going to ask.
Because he would ask about that, but he would just throw more light. Just a little bit about that, so that you get to know.
Just a little bit. Let's let Professor have the honors.
Well, the case study was given to us was deliberate to make sure that journalists are makers of good things, and also they are also makers of bad things, and therefore they can cause conflict without participating in conflict, and they can bring out peaceful resolution of the conflict. And therefore, you as an editor, a gatekeeper, you're there watching the gate, and news are coming, all kinds of things are coming to your desk. Some pro-government, some anti-government, some pro-religion, some pro-religion, some anti-culture, and some will affect the cultural peculiarities of your station or cultural particularities. Then you need to make a decision. It is better to make a wrong decision at the right time and correct it, rather than don't make a decision at all. So that thing was to test the pulse of our colleagues yesterday to know. You see, the passengers have some information. Imagine the first passenger, a woman, 7 months pregnant, has no special occupation, but he assists the husband, who is a doctor, Mr. John. And there was a sentiment expressed by one of the passengers. Wow, a pregnant woman, she should go to mass. It will be newsworthy to have her in the mass and to see the first baby on the mass. The other person said,
so he said that baby might be the president of
yes, of the mass. Yes, the other person said there's no business, there's no sentiment, it must be dropped. There's another passenger who is the daughter of the governor, and another one daughter of the permanent secretary, another one the son of the local government chairman. So can I drop the present government? What would be my, especially you are working for government outfit?
You want to protect the government's
I have one final question to ask, and it's very, very critical to me. I'll just start with Professor Oboh. Please, how can the media currently maintain its role as agenda setters despite the growth of social media and social media influencers?
I think it's simple. Looking at our role in this workshop, those of us facilitators, we quite acknowledge that we are not coming to meet with novices.
That's true.
Yes, media practitioners are persons that have been equipped with knowledge and experience. That is why, to me, I describe the workshop as a media clearinghouse of ideas. We are just coming to maybe tell you the new discoveries we have found out, and also to present to you things that may help you to reassess issues and probably think of ways of doing things differently from the way you may have probably been doing it. Look at media generically. The role of the media is to hold the government basically accountable. Yeah, to the persons that elected the government into power. So now doing that, the media sets agenda in normal society, civilized society. The media sets agenda, knowing what the needs of the people are. The government was supposed to take from that agenda to formulate the policies towards meeting the needs and the expectation of the people. So when you remove the media from the society, the government is left alone. The citizens are there. The government will not know what the citizen needs, and the citizen will not know what the government is doing. So the media is the mediating factor. So setting agenda is not media sitting down to say this is what we think is relevant. No, which could explain the libertarian media theory where you could sit down and imagine what the people think. No, the media should be closer to the people, know what the people need. Like the NSAS issue, the unfortunate incident, go back, find out, harvest the opinion of the citizens now that it has ended. Set agenda on it. How can we avoid a reoccurrence of this incident in the future? So when the media is doing that, the agenda setting function is very easy. Know what the people need, set agenda based on the needs of the people, and the government should also see it as its responsibility to look at what the media is saying, to know that the media is not advocating for itself. The media is rather advocating for the citizens.
All right, let me just add one more sentence to the contribution of my colleague. The media originally will set the agenda, but in recent times the theory has changed. that agenda setting is no longer for the media alone. It's both the people and the media. They both set the agenda. I gave the example of EndSARS. The government who set the agenda for that crisis. People. Then later on, the press took it over. And as we reflected yesterday, it mentioned Marshall McLuhan theory that because of sophistication of what is going on during that about 1984, 85, 86, that the world is not separated, it's now a global village. And during our discussion privately, I told him that Marshall McLuhan would be happy if he was alive today. In 2003, I said because of sophistication of YouTube, Facebook and others, the world is no longer global village. It has turned now global bedroom. Then you will stay in your room and do everything with your smartphone. So from global village now we are talking about global bedroom. Where you can do all kinds of things. And look at the theory of epidemic needle theory. That's the impact of the media is very great. That the citizens are passive. They are no longer passive.
No.
So therefore, both of them will set the agenda.
Right. Let me just ask something to that. Okay, thank you. So, Marshall McLuhan's theory, global village. Professor Akinfeleye's theory, 2003, global bedroom. So I am, with due respect, I'm talking about the global palm. Global palm.
Yes, exactly. That's why you are.
In your palm is the whole world.
Yes, sir.
In your hand, the whole world can talk to you.
Yes, sir.
So we have gone to the global. We have gone to the global palm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right, we've been interacting with Dr. Emmanuel Biri, and of course the chief trainer of the strategic communication strategic workshop, talking about Professor Ralph Akinfeleye, not leaving out Prof. Godwin Oboh, deliberated so much on the workshop and how key it is for media practitioners. Now, just before we let you guys run off quickly, today is the last day of the training, and we've had the first and second. So what should a participant expect from our profs?
Well, from my side today, I'll be talking basically on media ethics, because the social media, they actually need to know much about media ethics. Also be talking about media laws, so that with that we have a refined media practice in Nigeria.
Then we'll be talking about persuasive communication. How do you persuade people to change? And attitude formation and attitude change, attitude modification. We're going to be talking about that one, and also the pillars of persuasive communication, which may lead on to the strategic communication as a model for government officials and others to participate. And at the end of today, we are teachers. We are going to grade them and give them certificates of attendance. And participation. So those of them who had 100% attendance, they will get certificate. Those of them with less than 70%.
Percentage?
Yes, less than 70%, they will not get
to set attendance to enable your right examination.
Yes, exactly.
Not absent. It's coming from the school.
I'll be looking at the role of interview.
Yeah, okay.
The role of interview.
The role of media interview. This one we are doing now.
Okay, fair.
In information delivery.
Okay.
And so I'm also learning some things here now. I'm going to include to what I'm going to discuss.
But you didn't pay your school fees yet.
No, I didn't need to pay. No, I was enrolled without asking to apply.
Having informed said with us, not just one, not two, not three. It's enough payment. What can we ask? We appreciate you for coming, and of course I'll be there shortly at the center. Francis?
Yeah, it's a very, very big pleasure to have the professors right here. It's a big honor to have you, very much.
So what are you feeling like?
Professor Ralph, Professor Biri, and also Professor Oboh. It's very, very wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've read from your book as well.
Yeah.
Just the last take, I wanted to know how many participants are from the television, how many people are coming for this participation?
Well, I'm actually there, and
only you alone?
Not just me. We have there's another reporter there. In fact, we're more than 6 there.
Okay, I wanted to appeal to the management to send more.
Someone said DPS are there.
Yeah.
Because what they do is when they come in, they go cover assignment, they come back again. So it's more like a DPS affair. So we must appreciate the EAC2, His Excellency Governor of Delta State, for making this possible, and we do believe that the 10th edition will be another bumper, because as we go on, we'll try to update, and that's the whole idea. Media is not static. There are a lot of issues coming up every other day that we must address. That's why the edition is key to have, series of it. Well then, if you're not there, don't worry. Next year is another time for you to be part of the strategy communication workshop. If you're a media personnel, be sure that you read, you ask people about it if you're interested. Some persons might not be media practitioners, those who want to learn, because they say education is key, however it is, and nothing is lost. We appreciate you again for coming, and of course I look forward, because I am warming up to be your participant today again. Alright, stay with us. We'll be back again as we take on the sport. Good morning.